everybody, my name is Victoria. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am bringing you a book haul. So I'm doing this new thing where for every half hour that I exercise, I'm giving myself $1 towards books. This is not my own original idea. I got this idea from Books from MK's and also from Megan the Story Girl. And I just thought that that was such a fantastic idea that I wanted to adopt it in my own life. I do have a really hard time motivating myself to work out, although it's something that I want to do regularly. And I have to say, having this little extra incentive did help somewhat. There were still a lot of days where I just did not feel like it and therefore did not. But I do think that this little extra incentive of, oh, but there is $1 at the end of that half hour waiting for you, I think it made a difference. And so I permitted myself to go and raid a used bookstore or two, and I have a few books to show you. So I have 19 books. Let's go ahead and get into the haul. So the first books that I have to show you are actually part of a series, and I feel very fortunate that I found all three of them together. So this is the Giver Quartet. I've already read The Giver. I have a copy of The Giver, but I found all of these. These are very beautiful editions. I like these very much. My only regret is that I don't have The Giver in this edition. So I'm still on the hunt for that, but since I found the rest of them, and I did really enjoy The Giver, and I did want to continue. So I'm excited that now I can do that with no excuse. I think it goes Gathering Blue, then The Messenger, and then Sun, I think is the last one. So yeah, I've heard mixed things about this quartet. I think I've mostly heard that it kind of goes downhill as you go a little bit, but we will find out. Next up, I found a copy of Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. And with this book, I actually saw it in both of the used bookstores that I visited. And so by the time I saw it the second time, I was like, okay, I guess it's a sign. I guess the universe wants me to pick up this book. So I did. It's a young adult trilogy, I think. And so this is the first one. Don't know much about it other than Laini Taylor is a big booktube YA favorite, and so I thought I would give it a go. Every once in a while I feel like picking up a contemporary, and I'd seen this one around a little bit. It had some hype maybe a year or two ago, and that's The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillery. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. And this, from what I understand, is a rom-com kind of book, romantic contemporary. I don't read a lot of these, but every once in a while I find them to be a really fun break in my reading. I believe this follows a long-distance relationship between two characters who go to a wedding together. They meet in an elevator and then somehow decide to go to a wedding together. I believe there's some follow-up books to this too. I think it might be a series. So I'm looking forward to picking this one up sometime. I feel like this would be a perfect book for February and Valentine's Day because even the cover looks like a Valentine's Day card. The next book I have to show you is In the Woods by Tana French. This is a psychological thriller revolving around children who get lost in the woods. And I believe some of the children go missing and they find one of them. The little boy involved in that case grows up to become a detective, and then he is working on a case where a child is murdered in the same woods where he had his own incident. I think the new case kind of opens up his own inner demons and he has to deal with them, and I think we find out what happened in the woods to him and also to this other girl who was murdered. I have lately been on a quest to find thrillers that I like, so I have been collecting a lot of different types of thrillers. It's not a genre that I am super familiar with or have much experience with, so anytime I see one in a used bookstore that sounds interesting and sounds like it has an interesting premise, I usually try to pick it up. I also picked up a couple of nonfiction books. So I have something by Dallas Willard, who is an author that I have read before. I've read The Divine Conspiracy by him. And so this is called Knowing Christ Today, Why We Can Trust Spiritual Knowledge. I wish I had a copy of The Divine Conspiracy because I remember it being a really amazing book. I'm looking forward to reading him again. It's been some years since I've picked up anything by him. I also picked up Forgotten God by Francis Chan. Francis Chan is a name that I know and I've heard before, but I hadn't actually read any of his books. He has a couple famous ones. This is one of them, and then also Crazy Love is another one. So if you've read Francis Chan, I'd be curious to know what you think. But it was one of those books where I knew the name of the author, and I believe he's even a Californian like myself, and so I think he has a church in California, actually. The subtitle on this book is Reversing Our Tragic Neglect of the Holy Spirit. The next books that I picked up, I'm really excited about. I'm excited about all of them, but these two in particular, I'm really glad I found some copies. I found Jurassic Park and The Lost World. They were right next to each other. They're the same editions, so it was a score. Everybody knows Jurassic Park. I feel like I don't really have to tell you what Jurassic Park is about. I have heard that the book is amazing, and the movie is a classic, obviously. But I have heard that the book is fantastic, too. I haven't heard as much about Lost World, so I don't know how good the sequel is, but I have been dying to read Jurassic Park, so yay, now I can. Next up, I found Maya Angelou, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. She is, of course, on my radar. She's on a lot of people's radar. She's a very, very famous lady, and I know that this is a hard-hitting book, and maybe for Nonfiction November, I might be able to pick this up. It looks like a pretty short read, too, so glad I have a copy of this now. Speaking of short nonfiction books, Man's Search for Meaning by Frichter E. Frichter. Did I say Frichter? Oh my gosh. Michael Knipp. Where's Michael Knipp? Victor E. Frankl. Dr. Frankl was a psychiatrist, I believe. In this book, he talks a lot about his own experiences in concentration camps. I believe he was a prisoner in Auschwitz. And then he uses those experiences to talk to us about logotherapy. Sorry, I don't know how to say that. I've heard that this is fantastic. I've heard that it's hard-hitting, and obviously it has a super intense topic. This book is only about 150 pages or so I'm sure even though it's short, that it packs a punch. Next up, I have a historical fiction by Lisa C. She's an author I've really been wanting to try. This is The Tea Girl of Hummingbird Lane. This is about a family of tea farmers in China. It's set just in the distant past in the 80s and 90s. Our main character in this book is a young girl named Leanne, and she has a baby out of wedlock. She then gives up her baby, and then the baby is raised in California, and she spends her life wondering about this lost child of hers. I know this book is also an exploration of China's one-child policy, which I actually have some people in my life who adopted a girl from China who was given up because of the one-child policy. So this is something that I'm very interested in and is a topic that I know something about. So I'm super interested to pick this up. I've heard from a friend of mine who is not on BookTube, but she loved this book. I think it was 5 stars for her easily. So I am really interested in some Lisa C. historical fiction. Can't wait to pick this up. Next up, I have a few classics. Of course, I always pick up classics in used bookstores. It's just hard not to. But I have The Scarlet Pimpernel by Baroness Orczy. Definitely said that wrong. I'm not entirely sure what this is about, but I've heard good things. So we're gonna read the back together for a second. In the year 1792, Sir Percy and Lady Marguerite Blakeney are the darlings of British society. He is known as one of the wealthiest men in England and a dimwit. She is French, a stunning former actress, and the cleverest woman in Europe. Together they find themselves at the center of a deadly political intrigue. The reign of terror grips France, and everyday aristocrats in Paris fall victim to Madame la Guillotine. Only one man can rescue them, the Scarlet Pimpernel, a master of disguises who leaves a calling card bearing only a signature red flower. Oh, so maybe he's like a vigilante of sorts and rescues people from the guillotine? That sounds like fun. I have no clue where I heard about this book from and who told me it was good, but I've definitely seen high praise for this book somewhere. So, saw it, grabbed it. Next up, I picked up some more Dickens. I am a Dickens fan of sorts. I have read Tale of Two Cities, David Copperfield, Christmas Carol. Love Dickens. So I have here Great Expectations and Bleak House. Bleak House is a big chunky one. Great Expectations, a little a little bit less scary. So they're both the same edition, which is nice. I always like to match. I honestly don't know the premise of either of these. I have avoided any kind of synopsis or spoilers, and I'm going to probably continue to avoid them because I feel like I don't need to know what these are about. They're Dickens, and I like Dickens. I will read Dickens. Next, I picked up a sci-fi book. Woohoo! I don't read enough sci-fi. Definitely a genre that I neglect. So I have Pandora's Star by Peter F. Hamilton. According to the synopsis, this is about a star that disappears into space, into oblivion. No one knows where that star went, and I think a crew goes out to find out what happened to this disappearing star. Not sure where I heard about this, but I definitely did recognize the cover, probably from one of the many science fiction fantasy booktubers that I follow, so hopefully it's good. I really have no idea. Space opera in general sounds really cool to me, but I just haven't read very many of them, so hopefully we can change that. This is a big one though, so not anytime soon. This is gonna have to wait for a little while. Next up, I finally picked up a copy of Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty. I don't know anything about this. I have one other Leanne Moriarty book that I haven't read. I have The Husband's Secret. The Husband's Secret. And this one I know is the one that everybody knows, and there's a TV show, and I know nothing. I think it's about 3 women. That's all I know. I think this is one of those books that it's okay not to know anything because that's part of the fun of it, is in unveiling all the crazy drama that's going to happen in it. And then the last book I have to show you is Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. I love Kristen Hanna. I love The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This is another historical fiction by her set in, I think, the 70s and 80s, and it's about 2 friends, 8th grade girls, and how they grow up, and something happens, I'm sure, something dramatic, and it's about their relationship, their friendship, perhaps. I feel like when I film book hauls, I'm just like asking what books are about. I'm like, is that what this is about? I don't know. I haven't read it. I love Kristen Hanna though. She's great. I'm excited to pick up another book of hers. Those are all the books that I picked up recently. I am excited to continue this tradition of exercise, give myself $1. I think it's working out pretty well for both myself and my bank account. It does put a little self-control on my ability to just go out and buy books, because if I don't have enough money for it, well, better go exercise. So I'm really enjoying doing that, and I plan to continue doing this in the future. Be sure to subscribe if you want to keep up with my bookish journey, and leave me a comment down below if you've read any of these books, if you want to read any of these books, if you want to buddy read any of these books. I'm down. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching. Keep reading great books, and until next time, bye-bye.